Good evening, everyone, and I would like to call this regular meeting of the HERE Commission to order at 6:31. Adrian, if you could, I'm sorry, before that, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight that is going to be led by Commissioner Fitzsimmons.
Would everyone please stand? Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Fitzsimmons. Adrian, if you could please call the roll. And just a reminder to the commissioners, if you could turn on your mic when you are speaking.
Chair Jennings Nunez.
Here.
Vice Chair Godo.
Here.
Commissioner Borja.
Here.
Commissioner Brenhug.
Here.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons.
Here.
Commissioner Herrera.
Here.
Commissioner Khan.
Here.
Thank you, Adrian. We will now have some announcements from our staff liaison, Matthew Morales-Stevens.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and our online platforms. If you wish to address the HERE Commission during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk, Adrian Franquez. When speaking, please state your name for the record. If you wish to be added to the distribution list to receive HERE Commission agendas, please email your request to herecommission@sgch.org.
Thank you, Matthew. So agenda item number 1 is approval of the agenda order. Are there any objections to the agenda order? Thank you. So hearing none, the agenda order is approved, and we'll move on to number 3, which is public comment. So this is the time set aside for members of the public to address the HERE Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the HERE Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the HERE Commission cannot answer any questions or take any action until such time as the matter may appear as an item on a future agenda. If you wish to address the HERE Commission, please fill out a speaker's card to them. Matthew, do we have any public comments for tonight?
We do not.
Thank you. So on to approval of minutes. The minutes are provided in our agenda packet from our last meeting. Matthew, do we have any public comments on this agenda item?
We do not.
Thank you. So after review of the minutes, if I could have a motion to approve the minutes from March 22nd.
I move to approve the minutes.
A second.
Thank you. So that was a Commissioner Godo and Commissioner Fitzsimmons, or Vice Chair Godo and Commissioner Fitzsimmons. And then Adrian, if you would please vote.
Yes. Commissioner Borja.
Aye.
Commissioner Brenhug.
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons.
Aye.
Commissioner Herrera.
Aye.
Commissioner Khan.
Yes. Aye.
and Vice Chair Jennings Nunez.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Chair Jennings
That's
Nunez.
okay.
Okay.
There's a lot of clicking going on up here, so it's distracting.
Motion passed by a vote of 7 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you so much. So we'll go to our first discussion item, which is going to be our speaker for tonight. And I'll have Commissioner Khan to provide an introduction. We would like to welcome our speaker, Abdullah Zikria, and say Assalamu alaikum. And thank you very much for the introduction for us.
Thank you, Chair Jennings. Our interaction, or my personal interaction with the ICNA relief was when somewhere March, April 2020, when we actually landed into something that we were not even ready. However, the city was so receptive, and it was city's needs were not only the cities, but the senior citizens' needs, as well as the La Casa Community Center had people who basically were looking for some way to help the needy. So we basically scrambled around. We did our resources together, and long behold, we got ICNA relief, and they just have been doing this kind of work to get for a while, and I found that out later on as we worked along. So presently what we do is, since we started in April 2020, March, April 2020, we we put our resources as well as resources from the ICNA relief, and on a monthly basis, every month since then, we have coordinated the food box distribution with them, and they've been very graceful, and they bring abundant stuff that lasts not only suffices the folks we distribute to, but also is left over so we can further distribute afterwards. So, and Abdullah Zakaria has been, except one time, he has been with us all the time, every month. So I'm grateful that they've been able to do this, and I'm glad we can be a part of the community.
Mr. Zikri, I don't know if your mic is working, and if it's not working, you can't hear anything on the YouTube channel.
There we go. All right. See, I like to be on the microphone. Now I hear myself, I feel more energy. So I want to say thank you guys for having me here, Chairwoman Jennings, Sister Gatto, Vice Chair, all the commissioners. I would love to be here. I'm so happy to be here, actually. And just driving in here, I was rushing a little bit. But alhamdulillah, ICNA Relief, we're a domestic relief organization. And we're the largest Muslim domestic relief organization, over 32 offices. And in Southern California alone, we have two. We went to San Diego and one in Fullerton, and we're opening up another one soon. But I will save that for a little bit later. Now, I wanted to talk to you guys about Ramadan. I was requested to talk something about Ramadan. Now, Ramadan really is for basics. It's actually the 9th month of the lunar calendar for the Islamic calendar. For the month similar to like January, February for Gregorian calendar, Ramadan is actually a month. It's called Ramadan. And what makes Ramadan is very unique is we also call it a month of fasting. So, of course, if we can click over, fasting itself, it started hundreds of years ago, right? So, on the 5th century BC, actually, fasting started. There used to be physicians, and Greek physicians used to prescribe fasting when there would be illnesses in the community. And so for therapeutic uses, people used to fast differently. Now, at that time, they didn't necessarily fast with water and drinking, depending on the cases of the illnesses. But throughout history since that time, we have found that the fasting basically went through all the different cults, all the major cultures in human history. They came in different forms, different length times, different purposes, and so when it occurred for the Muslims, we have a little bit of a change. Now I'm going to try to click through here. Thank you. So the month of Ramadan specifically, like we said, the month of the 9th month in the lunar calendar, it starts at the setting of the moon, and it ends at the start of the new moon that comes out. So depending on the time, this is lunar calendar to Gregorian, it's going to change throughout the year. So sometimes 10, 12 years later, it might be in the summertime. So changes a little bit. It goes about 29 to 31 days, depends on the month. And typically, we're talking about 2 billion people across the earth that actually are fasting. And we're talking about kids from 8 to 9 years old who are very energetic and they want to do fasting. Now, they might not fast the whole month, they might do it half a day or something like that. Those are the responsibility of the parents. But 2 billion people observe fasting in the month of Ramadan. Now, cool thing is, when we start the month of Ramadan, anybody can actually start it. So if they're in South America and they see the moon, they can get it on the radio and say, "I saw the moon," and everybody in the planet has to start Ramadan. Right? So of course, there are some conditions. Make sure that the person is actually physically capable of seeing it. Can't just be some comedian out there making a prank or something until it comes together. But that's kind of unique, right? Being somewhere in the Amazon and you see the moon, and if you're able to get the word out, people in China will have to start fasting just because another believer saw the moon. So why fasting? So because it's something that's a commandment from the Creator, for the Muslims at least. It also builds strong family nucleus. Many of the times when before we start the day of fast, we'll talk a little bit later, the family comes together. So the husband, the wife, the kids, they're all kind of getting together about 30 minutes or so before the actual fast starts, and they eat breakfast together. So it creates a strong family nucleus. At that, of course, we talk about different things, from school, from politics, different things. So feel the suffering of others that might be less fortunate. That's another reason why people fast. To build self-control. So we're going to talk about food and drink. But actually, it's more than it's watching what you watch. Actually, what you hear, the environment that you try to place yourself in, the positive community that you want to, energy that you want to post. Those are all just as important as the part. To encourage self-improvement. So this is a great time. You typically find the goal things at the beginning of the year. This is another opportunity for Ramadan for people to have goals as well. To give charity during this time. And actually, you would think that when you don't have but we're actually do good deeds. So you're not going to and you're going to be participating. So that's all the things that we have for fasting in addition. Okay, so the day of fasting. Each day starts from the sun up. So right before dawn, everybody gets ready. They're already brushing their teeth and their tongue, everything like that, to make sure that they get ready. And as soon as the sun comes up, then everybody stops drinking. Now we do not drink anything. We don't eat anything. Even chewing gum, we don't do any of that because of the sugar in these things that might be going through to the mouth, and so we refrain from all of that. Um, Prior to the sun, when the sun comes up, families come together, and we actually call that suhoor. And again, it's a great time to come together. Intentions are renewed. People think about what they're about to get into, and they also think about the people who are less fortunate as well. And ablution is made, and they get ready for morning prayers, which they do together as a family. So, fast from what? Well, we're going to be fasting from bad character, right? That's the number one thing we do. We fast from during sun up to sundown. There's no type of intercourse. There's of course the food and drink, and negative environments that we spoke about as well. Okay, two main benefits we're talking about from a spiritual level. Like we said, the families, when they talk together, they also read Quran together. They also share different teachings that they have, and at the same time we do some when we're with their kids, repenting. It's a great time to repent, and of course we have more God consciousness. Physically, it's a great detox. So detox is a very fasting. So this is a great time. We detox for the acids, unused fats, and carbs, and these different things. And the one who is performing fast should avoid strenuous activities. Now, I didn't add this, but some of the popular people, some of the people that you might know that's observing fasting, it's you might know Shaquille O'Neal observes fast, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Anybody is a Boston fan, definitely. Oh, actually, no. Let me take that back. Anybody who's a New Jersey Nets fan knows Kyrie Irving, of course, who's currently fasting while he's in the playoffs. So those are some of the figures out there. Cat Stevens, is has Ramadan, is fasting, and many other people as well. Okay, so the day of celebration, which is at the very last, so for day of the month of Ramadan finishes, and the very next day is called Eid, and we have Eid is by itself, and so the Muslims come together and they stay independent from all the negative practices that we had in Ramadan. Ways of refraining from those things gives us the encouragement to be able to continue that for the rest of the year. So this usually lasts 3 days, with the first one being the main one. And it is the first of 2 Eids that we have during the calendar year. All right, so that's about it for Ramadan. Any questions? No, I did a good job, or I did a really bad job? So Ikna relief. Now, how do we fall into this? So just to guys give you an idea, during the month of Ramadan, we already served 600. If you multiply that by 4, which is a typical size here in Southern California, that might be 2,400 individuals, right? That we served through our food banks, through diaper distributions, through our medical clinic, through our professional counseling, through our Laundry Love project, and our food pantry as well. So we kind of do everything, and we are actually based in Fullerton, California, and so and we're completely free. We do not charge anybody anything. Anybody and everybody from all backgrounds can come and get the service that they need. We have one of the most active the Facebook groups, and everyone is welcome to join that as well, and you can see what we do on a daily basis. So main three things, like I said, we're a domestic relief. We only work within the United States and its territories, such as Puerto Rico. All of our services are completely free, and we target individuals and families that are underprivileged or have a low disposable income, poverty-stricken, or in addition to that, who are going through any type of adversity. So we also take care of folks who might be affected by a tornado or a hurricane or an earthquake, and they might not fit any of those conditions, but if they still need help, then we go ahead and make sure we take care of them. So we have women's transitional home. I forgot to mention that. Professional counseling, medical clinic, family services, resettlement agency. So a lot of the refugees that come through, we are a resettlement agency that works with DHS. We work with FEMA. We work with all the major government offices to make sure we're able to provide those services as well. Back to school, laundry love. So I can list it over and over and over again, the different things they would do. Now, great opportunity to volunteer with us. We have over 300 volunteers of all backgrounds, of all ethnicities, of all faith groups, or not even of a faith group, and they can come to any of our distributions or any of the work that we do at our clinics. They're welcome to come. And this is one specific case that we have with the Shifa Clinic in Pennsylvania, where we actually work with Johns Hopkins and UPenn, and we have doctors who are volunteers. They come and help provide completely free service. Southern California, we also have free dental, free vision. Anybody that doesn't have health insurance, they can come to us. We don't ask too many questions. Just want to make sure that they don't have health insurance, and they can come and we can see them. If somebody does come with health insurance for the first time, we will take them. After that, we're going to have to ask them to make sure they go to the doctors. And of course, probably one of the fastest appointments. You typically sign up an appointment on a Monday, you come in on a Wednesday. So, and we get to see the clients. Now, 96.7% of the people that come to our medical clinic are not Muslim. They're from different backgrounds. And that's important to us that we express that as well. Successful stories. Commissioner Khan mentioned about our relationship with San Gabriel. Since 2020, ICNA Relief has built a strong relationship with the Mosque of San Gabriel. Through this collaboration, we have served at least 3,000 low-income families in San Gabriel, Rosemead area. And so the 3,000 families, if you multiply by 4, gets to be just in that one area over 12,000 individuals. We're served over 7 different ethnic groups that come to the drive-through distributions, and by extension, we've also built a great relationship with Al-Qasa, the San Gabriel Valley School District, and the San Gabriel Women's Foundation. Many of you know that the holiday baskets that we work, alhamdulillah, with past 2 years, been working with them. Over 80 families attend. And if you like, these numbers might be flying over your head. It's kind of what we do. Make sure that we get the right statistics, and you can bet that these statistics are on point. Another successful story, of course, is the relationship that we have with Gabriel. Also, in addition to the work that they would do with us, they actually serve warm food to the homeless. And they're an inspiration for us. Sometimes they may need our help or something, and they're welcome to receive the help that we can give. But we're inspired with the work that they do every month for their food. So, neighborhood food pantries. We have our own food pantry in the city of San Gabriel. Our valley is at the Islamic Society of San Gabriel Valley. It's open to everybody. Which, just to give you good news, we did open up a medical clinic there as well. So people can see a doctor for free at this location as well. So that's basically a nutshell about ICNA relief. I'm definitely very inspired by the San Gabriel Valley. I think ever since the moment we stepped in, the community and the commission and the mayor, Menchaca, who was there before, was very opening. And I really, really appreciate for you guys to give me the opportunity to talk about the work that we do as a culture, as a community, as a city, to make sure that we help everybody, irrespective of what their backgrounds are. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Zikria. Do you have a few minutes for questions?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So
I feel like I'm in front of Congress.
we'll be much friendlier.
Yeah, no.
Just mention to the commissioners before we start questions that we do need to be mindful of time. I think Commissioner Khan has reminded us that about 7:15 is as far as we can push it. So I'll start at the end with Commissioner Brenhog.
Thank you so much for speaking with
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
I don't have any additional questions, but I'm very, I feel inspired to just listening to all that you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We hope to receive more help. Anything you guys, any ideas you have, please share it with us. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Confirm that you said that the San Gabriel Mosque has the medical and the food pantry there?
Yeah. So it's not the Mosque of San Gabriel, but it's actually the Islamic Center of San Gabriel Valley.
Oh, and where is that location?
I believe it's east here, and it might be technically under Roland Heights, though. Yeah.
It's in city of Roland Heights.
Yeah, it's in Roland Heights. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons here. Thank you so much for being here. It's very, very exciting to hear all about all of this. I was going to ask the same question where the medical clinic was located, because I do have, I volunteer at the police department, so we do have people that do come into our department. So do you have any brochures
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
that you would be willing to leave in our department that we could hand out for you?
yeah, absolutely. And we are on 211 as well. So anybody can get the counseling help or medical needs that they need. And also we are all the food banks, LA Food Bank, our bulletin there. So they have their hours over there as well. But definitely I can give it to Matthew and maybe he can share it with you guys. Yeah.
That would be wonderful, because
Yeah.
I would like to have that available for people to hand out to them.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Hey, absolutely. No worries. Thank you.
My turn. So just a couple of questions or a clarification for people who are in the audience and may not know. So Muslim refers to people who study the religion of Islam, correct?
So,
Or what is it? Is it a religion? Is it an ethnicity? Or what does being Muslim describe?
Muslim is a verb from Islam. So Islam is the religion, and the person who submits and acts upon the tenets of the faith are called Muslims. So the Muslims are the individuals within the Islam, right? So with that, we have good Muslims and we have not so good Muslims, right? And so, but Islam is just one, right? It's the umbrella.
Thank you. So I just want people to understand that
Right.
Muslim doesn't necessarily refer to an ethnicity. There are Chinese Muslims, there are
Right.
African Muslims, there are African American Muslims,
Yeah.
all over the world. Like you said, there are about 2 billion people celebrating Ramadan right now.
Yeah, and we actually, I mentioned South America purposely because South America has a great influence in Islamic history.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then for this might be for both Commissioner Khan and for you, for the Mosque of San Gabriel, are there interfaith meetings or times when people, we were at the mosque last Friday, thank you for inviting us there for the breaking of the fast. Are there other times that the public would be able to go and see a mosque?
Annually, we have a open house, mosque open house. It's held in October, I believe October 10th. And it's not just this mosque. We have a Shura Council, which is a council, meaning it's a body which consists of all the members. Shura is basically representative organization. So they have one day in a year that you're basically invited to go into any mosque, just walk in and and just get to know who the Muslims are and so on. So I believe it's going to be October 10th. Now, besides that, I do have just after the pandemic or around that time that we started out, Mark started an organization or a committee, I want to say, or a group that all the religious nominations. Last time was the first, about a week ago was the first time we met physically at the Mission Church. And also we're going to start meeting at our mosque and other places too. So holding sort of interfaith and other get together at the mosque. But I think we're going to get a little more years coming around because we have other groups. We're working with them too.
If I can add to that, Chairwoman, may I? Just to clarify, the mosque it's an open door policy. You can go in anytime. Anybody can go to the mosque anytime. Muslims or non-Muslims, people who have questions, they can go 7 days a week. I think the chairman was talking about the one day where they have a joint program that's kind of centered and kind of developed, and maybe they have food out there, and maybe they have a presentation. But all the masjids or the mosques across the United States are complete open door policy, up and down. They do tours, they do all of that stuff. So yeah, just want to make sure that caveat, I add that caveat in there.
Thank you. And for those who don't know, the San Gabriel Mosque is just right across the street from Jefferson Middle School. Driven down Las Tunas and look to the left if you're going.
We did a food distribution there last year, I believe. Yeah, we had 600 families. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's really amazing to hear of all the service that you've done, and you continue to. Really appreciate the time you took, especially during this time of Ramadan, to join us and share that information. I know you mentioned that you have a lot of volunteers of all different walks of life who assist you with some of your programs.
And age groups too.
If someone is interested in becoming a volunteer, how should they go about doing that?
Well, I mean, I would suggest that social media. They kind of see what we do. And us, I know for our Facebook group, as the ICNA Relief Southern California, ICNA Relief Southern California, they can come. We have a calendar. They can look at the calendar first and see what they want to, to do. Now, we put a lot of live videos on there. We put a lot of video clips to get an idea for everybody to how we do things. One of the beautiful things that I think that our leadership chose is that we want to teach everybody how to do it too. So we do our drive-throughs and we teach people how to do it. So there'll be that we work with is the Orange County Heritage Council, and they come out, and we also have the First Christ Church in Fullerton that want to volunteer. And so they get the idea, they see what we do, and then they can sign up on how they want to help. Yeah, and they can email us.
If I may add, thing from our mosque, every second Tuesday of the month, we start items about 2:30 or so, and we start distribution at 4 p.m. So between that time, there's a lot of hassle, there's a lot of volunteer needs. We can get only so many people because it's a work day, usually. So, and that's another way that we can have volunteers.
So is it Abdullah Sikriya? Did I say it?
Yeah, very good.
All right. Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time and coming to talk to us. And just so you know, this is the first in-person meeting that we have as a commission. And you're the first guest that we have here. Yeah. It is pretty special, and I think that it's special because of what you came here to do today, and that's to enlighten us with the religion, right, of Islam. I think a lot of people don't understand the religion. I learned a little bit with what Chair Jenny Nunez just mentioned. I thought it was Muslim, that's the religion, but I guess not, right? It's Islam, that's the religion.
Right, right.
So with that said, this is part of what the HERE Commission is about, right? To shed light are dark about, and this is exactly what you came today to help us do and to learn as a community. I don't practice the religion, but I think it's very admirable of you to come out here and us, and I think it's great what you're doing out in the community, especially with ICNA Relief, and welcome to San Gabriel. I mean, I don't think I need to say welcome because you've already been here since 2020,
Definitely,
so thank you so,
definitely.
thank you so much.
We feel welcomed, and and we want to dominate. We want to really come in and make a change and make an impact. Yeah, definitely. But also sometimes you hear just we're talking about it in media. They use Islam. It's not accurate, right? So when somebody, if you want to be really accurate, you can say a Muslim did this or something like that. But when they coin it as Islam, it's that's that there's a problem with that, right? Because the faith is not saying do bad things, right? So it might be actions of a few people.
Well, thank you for
Appreciate
clarifying that. It's a lot of information. I think thank you.
Thank you so much.
For sharing all that. Like I said earlier, sometimes we don't know these things, and then what's in that darkness, what we don't know, we don't seek to learn, scares some people, right? It gets scary. I don't know. I've never gone down that path. I don't know. I haven't done my research, or I don't know what it's about. But when you come up here and explain it to us, it's really really nice. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Commissioner Herrera.
Commissioner Khan, did you hands for our guest?
He might drill me more than anybody else. He might ask me to come twice a month.
I don't know if it matters. The fasting days that he mentioned, they're either 29 or 30. There are no days, so
True.
just
True.
not a big deal.
Maybe typographical.
Maybe it feels like 31. So.
I want to get that 31st day for my festival rather than having to fast.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more question. If there are any other questions.
Shoot, give me the tough ones. These are easy questions.
If not, and we really do appreciate, as Commissioner Herrera said, we really appreciate you coming out and providing education and continuing your outreach. This is outreach also, and inviting us to learn more about the mosque, about ICNA Relief, hopefully gaining some volunteers now that people know of another opportunity to volunteer in our community. That would be that's really helpful. So we thank you again.
Thank you so much. I
And
appreciate
what is the appropriate closing greeting?
Same thing. Assalamu alaikum, actually. Peace be upon
Assalamu
you.
alaikum.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys,
You're
for the
welcome.
moment. And again, if you guys have any ideas on how we can do different projects, maybe unique ones, by all means, let us know.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
And Commissioner Khan. Commissioner Khan, I think, is also going to be excused. Commissioner, thank you, Commissioner, tonight. Thank you. So we will be moving on to item B of our discussion items, that is community outreach and public information planning. So at this point, we're going to determine ways that the Commission can create an outreach strategy and plan programs and events that are included on our 2022 work plan. Vice Chair Godo is going to share her findings and information that she got after her meeting with our Public Information Officer. Before we do that, I do need to ask Matthew, do we have any public comments on this discussion item?
There are none.
Thank you. So Vice Chair Godo.
Thank you, Chair Nunez. Matthew and Clara and I had a meeting to discuss some of our strategy around communications, and I just wanted to give a quick report to all the commissioners of some of the key takeaway items. In speaking of our strategy for all the communications for the city, she did mention that the to her is more of a repository for information, basic information and resources. It's not necessarily the platform that she wants to use to promote time-sensitive activities. So her suggestion is that that function remain with social media, and the recommendation of both Matthew and Clara was that the commission use the city's platform. I know that we had early on talked about maybe having our own social media handle, but a very good point was brought up that there's already a good following with the city's social media channels, and so the thought was why not leverage that for our activities as well. Clara mentioned that, overall her strategy for social media content is to provide about 1/3 in government policies, 1/3 in community services, and 1/3 gene government and community. So that's kind of where we fall in to that category. And she's also increased her traditional media outreach. I think she might have spoken with us about that when she was our guest, targeting more in language media outlets like Univision and Chinese language social media. So for the HERE Commission website page, I don't know if any of you have been on it recently. Clara did say that her immediate focus has been social media, so she hasn't really been able to spend a lot of time on it yet. But we do have an opportunity on the left-hand sidebar to include some links to some of our activities and some of the content that we'd like to highlight. Right now, the only thing that's listed there is our engagements. So we will have an opportunity to build that out a little bit, and maybe we can discuss more amongst ourselves about what kind of content we'd like to include there. And speaking of the engagement survey, Matthew has included it in the Grapevine guide, the one that hopefully you just received. And I'm trying to find what page it's on. What is it? It's the second half, okay. So we definitely have only had a handful. Here it is on page 19. There's the little advertisement with the QR code. So if everyone who is hearing this tonight, please take the survey if you haven't already. It's quick. It's about 10 minutes. And we can definitely also promote that more on social media. We talked a little bit about having some evergreen items which can be used at any time on social media. There happens to be an opportunity for Clara to post something for us that will have something ready. And the important will go through Matthew. So he is the gatekeeper for us and the community services group. So he will be on point. So and then he will sort of vet the information and then take it to Clara as it moves ahead. So that's a little bit about the process. One of the things we also discussed was how we could be good partners for Clara as well, because she has quite a bit on her plate. She's handling the communications pretty much, a one-woman shop. So one of the things that she felt would be really helpful if we could provide her a list for the year of sort of the big topics or events that we want to focus on, then it will give her more lead time to plan. She wants to roll those out and what kind of platforms will be the best. So that may be something we want to talk about as well. I know that we have a couple of signature events that we had from last year and some things that we've been discussing, but the more time we can give her, obviously the better for her to be able to work that into her schedule. And then, one of the things that maybe we need to discuss as well is sort of what format. I know that we've talked about having a list of the resources that we've discussed at our meetings or that we want to bring forward to the community. So we kind of have to decide how we want that list to be formatted, what kinds of things we want to include, so that we can can provide that information and make it as seamless for Clara as possible. So those are some of the things that that we can work on together as part of our work plan. But those were the main.
Vice Chair Goto, just for the audience out there, can you just explain briefly what the community survey is asking about?
Sure. We have been conducting the community survey to get an idea from all of the community members about what are the important topics that would like the commission to take on, some of the events that they might be interested in having the city sponsor, and also just issues that they think are the ones that are most important for us to hear about and to work on. We initially started the survey as focusing just on the youth, but we kind of input could be included from the community members.
Thank you. And that is accessible guide with your smartphone and QR code, or it's also accessible through a link on the on the city's website. If you go to the Hear Commission page, so if you go under Commissions and you follow it down to the Hear Commission, you open that page on the left-hand side. There are some links, and you can get to the survey that way.
I have a question for Vice Chair Goto.
Yes.
And the reporting back, how often are you going to give us the results of those reporting back?
The reporting back on the survey?
The survey.
Well, Matthew kind of is the person who's tracking our results. So far, we only have a handful. So we're really focusing on our outreach right now to try to get some more responses in. So we can kind of, I guess, determine the cadence check-in depending on what the response is.
Matthew, what have the responses been so far?
I'd have to double check, but the last time I checked, they were less than 10. So it could just be that we haven't, the commission as a whole, it hasn't been pushed out in a variety of areas. So I think the guide is a great first step. Typically I receive an email every time someone submits, and I haven't received one recently. But that's now just reaching the homes. It's going out to, so hopefully that will be a positive or make a positive change. But in this conversation, the commission could potentially look at, would that be something that Clara could help push out on social media, something that has been pushed out just yet on that platform.
Thank you.
I was just wondering about the possibility of sending them out to the school district to get parents to fill it out who live in the area. I mean, that's one of the ways I think we can reach a lot of people, but I guess those are like kind of with school aid.
Just to clarify, when you say out, are you meaning a paper copy, a link through the district to push out to their parent, or through some communication from the district?
Yeah, I'm even thinking, you know, I have been PTA president, and I could just email our principal and be like, can you make a school-wide, you know, message for us? Go to this website and take the survey about, you know, what things are important to you in our city. So it's kind of like a partnership with the schools.
So our first step would be some sort of flyer or even just what's in the guide sent over to the district if we haven't done so already for approval. And then they would post it on their website as a link. I'll say I don't think that that's extremely effective because you kind of have to really look for it. It's kind of similar to how Chair Jennings was explaining the 6 different clicks to access information isn't super accessible. But then the next step could be the principals or reaching out to the PTA presidents to disseminate that information to their contact list. We're currently working with the San Gabriel Educational Foundation to get a list of the PTA groups or who would be interested in receiving information from us. There may be groups that just determine that they don't want to receive the information from us, which is fine. So once we have, then that could also be another avenue for communication as well. But we're not currently disseminating information, printed copies just yet at the school district level.
I had a couple questions and then a little bit of input. Do we have a set goal for the goal of how many people we want to reach? Not necessarily reach, but how many people we want to have submitted their survey? Do we have a goal? And the second question, do we have a set deadline?
So as far as my understanding, the commission has not set either. So if the commission would like to set a goal and or a deadline for submitting, that's definitely something we could push out. But that would need to come from the commission as a whole to decide if there is a certain cutoff point. It was my understanding that it was more of kind of an ongoing program, and then kind of looking at the results as they come in. Probably 5 isn't the best time to look at it, as it won't be representative of the entire. There's a look at the commission could look at the results, and we can show you the graphs and everything that SurveyMonkey generates for us. But as far as the deadline, that would be something the commission would discuss.
Well, personally, I'm a fan of goals and deadlines, so it just gives us more pressure, right? So one of the suggestions that I have was if we can, do we have an email distribution list for the city? If we can send that, just that, whatever we have here with the QR code and page 19 of the Grapevine, can we send that as a standalone if
Sure.
we do have a distribution list?
We have sent it through 2 different distribution lists that we have in the city. So the Community Services Department's distribution list, as well as the citywide distribution list, which is the city beat that Clara puts together. So it's gone through both of those. We can run it again.
It hasn't gone.
So with the city beat, it follows a very particular
Right.
format. So
Right.
you wouldn't see it as it is seen in the guide. You would see it similar to how the other articles are written. It reads almost closer to a newspaper or an online news article versus the Grapevine guide, where you plop an ad in. The Community Services Department newsletter, I believe we actually did, for lack of a better term, plop in the ad that's in the guide, so it would have been visible just like that. And we've actually, Adrian in our office puts that together and has included it in several months. It's not necessarily the top every time, but it's been included for several.
I'm just afraid that it's going to get overlooked, right? Like, who really wants to do a survey? I mean, there's no real incentive behind it, and we know that there's an incentive for the city for us to know and understand the people, but there's no general immediate incentive for the pay. Maybe we can think about some kind of easy incentive that we can give out, like a giveaway or something to number 10 or number 20 or random people or everybody. I don't know how we can do that or how we can plan that, like a little incentive so we can get more people to engage in the survey. But another thing that I wanted to mention, really, we thought about maybe a banner. So when we have our events, maybe have a big banner so that people see is the banner and they can take the survey, and it's just a one standalone huge banner. I mean, I don't know if we've thought about that yet. I don't think we had this discussion before, right? So I think that would be a recommendation that I want to put out there, because it doesn't take that much money to create a banner, right? And last thing, if we can make a post, a social media post alone, if we haven't yet, just for that purpose. The biggest takeaway for people to actually take the survey, because not that many people are going to want to take a survey if there's no incentive. But I know there's going to be some kind-hearted people that want to participate on this. But yes, that's all I have. Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner Herrera. So in terms of, I guess, this item, we do have an opportunity to make a motion to put forth the plan. So what I've kind of heard so far in terms of mine is maybe specific areas that we would like Clara to focus on in terms of social media would be to create a social media post specifically about our survey. I have two areas that I'd spoken to Vice Chair Goto about, would be to highlight our meeting speakers before each meeting. And we'll get to that a little bit later on our discussion of our work plans. And then certainly highlighting our mental health. Now I'm at Expo. I don't know if it's going to be fair, forum, Expo, whatever we call it, but to highlight that. Those three areas at this point would be things that we would suggest for Clara. We'll put forth a motion for. And then I do agree. I like the idea of a deadline, even with just some sort of deadline, June 30th, something just for some urgency of it. And if it is possible to get a flag banner maybe for the, let's say the May 6th, or for those summer concerts to put out for those first few, where they would come by and just do the flag banner. I don't know how much it would help, but if it is a fairly inexpensive
So
thing.
I would love to say that it is inexpensive, but I've looked at it for a couple other events. It does become quite costly. We could do an 11 by 17 poster or an A-frame next to it. That's going to be, we already have the A-frames. It's just the ink and the paper. So we can definitely do that in-house and make that happen.
Okay.
As kind of a meet in the middle type of solution for that.
Okay. And maybe we can put it at one of, if there's aren't there booths at the Cinco de Mayo celebration?
At
Or-
Cinco de Mayo, there will not be community booths, but
Okay.
we will likely have an information booth, and that can go there.
Okay.
And then all of our summer and San Gabriel series events, including Surf's Up, which is the largest, and National Night Out, and our concerts and movies all have information booths, and the A-frame and or some type of kind of eye-catching poster can be listed there as well.
Thank you. So I have two questions. If I don't know if anyone else agrees with setting a deadline, so would like to suggest a deadline. Like I said, we can still continue the survey, but if we would have a deadline so that we can.
I do feel that it would be advantageous to have a deadline, because we need to start tracking this information, and if it's not working, then what can we do to change our path and do something different?
Have a deadline you'd like to suggest?
I would make a motion that we would set a deadline. Let's do June, and that way we would have the summer in order to take a look at the results, and if we need to change path, and we could, but I think probably the best time to get people to, to fill out the survey would certainly be National Night Out, because that attracts a lot of people. A whole lot of people, and that's what you want. If you could get a great number of people along with Surf's Up.
National Night Out would have
Yes.
to push the due date.
Right.
So if you'd like, the commission could choose 2 deadlines or multiple deadlines with some sort of incentive tied to each deadline. Sorry, I'm not sure it is on. So if you wanted, I think we still have the gift card from the previous event that didn't happen. So you could use that as a first incentive, and then a second deadline, which would essentially potentially be less of an incentive than the first one, because you want people to really get it in as soon as possible. If you do the June 30th, that will enable us to capture June 16th Surf's Up. School ends beginning of June, and then that'll give us some time to disseminate some information as well to our summer camp program at the very beginning.
Right.
So there's kind of a new group of people that we're capturing at the very end of that deadline as well.
And certainly, like for National Night Out, you can actually have a raffle, and then raffle off some gift cards, and fill out the survey, then give them a little card and say, hey, we're going to have a raffle.
Or I would say anybody who has filled out their survey by National Night Out, and then we would do the
Certainly.
drawing on the night out. So
Yeah.
would you like to maybe modify your motion to include the June 30th and the August 2nd?
Yes.
Chair Jennings, this is Director Perez. We also have the 626 Golden Streets event this weekend, this Sunday.
Okay.
And the city will have a booth, as well as police and fire will have a booth, so we could possibly have like quarter page sheets with the information and then have a raffle available at that as well.
Okay. Would it be possible to maybe do I'd hate to print out a
do
lot
the-
of
sure.
paper sheets and
Sure.
have those all
Do
over the place.
an A-frame with the information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. So we have a motion. Do you have a second?
And
June
can you repeat the date, the deadline date?
June 30th
June, I think.
And August 2nd.
and August 2nd.
We have two.
2 days.
2 dates.
2 days.
Can we push that a little bit more? I don't think we have enough time. Can we make the first one in August and then September? Would that be enough time to get people in? Or is June, what do you guys think, June?
I think the idea is to try to push to get people to fill it out
By
so that we can discuss some of the results
Okay.
during the summer if possible. If we don't have many people,
Right,
we'll regroup.
we'll
but-
regroup and reevaluate to see where we're at. So, okay, I'll second.
And
So I
discuss-
might be even possibly 3 dates because you can also include the back-to-school events that go on, and so the schools could publicize it too. So you're saying like a June, an August, and maybe a September as well.
And I think even though we set these 2 dates, we can always continue this through. So for now, maybe we could just vote on those 2 dates and see how it's second. We still only have 10 surveys. We may decide to pivot. Right?
Right,
Um,
and at that point, we might want to add stuff after we see the, right, different aspect in the city.
So Adrian, if you could please take the vote.
Commissioner Borja,
Aye.
Commissioner Brenhug,
Aye.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons,
Aye.
Commissioner Herrera,
Aye.
Commissioner Khan is absent, Vice Chair Godo,
Aye.
and Chair Jennings Nunez.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed by a vote of 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you, Adrian. And so now what we need to discuss is if we have any plan, Clara, that we would need to vote on tonight.
And if the commission wishes to not make a formal plan and just give staff direction, that's also fine as well.
Okay, yes. So my direction, if others can give their direction, would be to ask her to concentrate on those 3 areas. So a specific post for this survey, either on Instagram, I think is one of our big media, a monthly post inviting people to our meeting and highlighting the speaker for that meeting, if we have a speaker, and then our mental health expo once we decide on a date, but that'll be later in the year.
If I may, I think it will be beneficial, and I think it's probably going to go without say that with that poster, whatever we get printed out, if we can have some volunteers, all right, to be as a here commission representative there. I'll be there. I know I promised to be at the last one, but I took a last minute. I had to do some last minute things making that last event, a couple events actually, 2. I missed that great dinner with Commissioner Khan. But I think it would be very, very crucial to have somebody from the CARE Commission spreading the news so that we just don't let the city take on all that huge burden and talking to the community.
Is this for for which event are you speaking of?
For all the events that we're going to have, where we're going to have the placards up, or the placard up.
So I'm sure Matthew will be able to provide us with the dates and times of the events. And if anyone is available, they will let Matthew know are available and will be at the...
Correct. I'll send all of the event dates as well as just noting that there will always be a staff person at the information booth. So you're welcome to just give them a holler during that time as well.
Good, thank you. Any other discussion on this item? So moving on to item C, discussion of approved annual work plan. The commission members will continue working on the approved 2022 annual work plan. The work plan items of primary, item number 1, equity training, item 2A, develop and implement program programs and events, and item 2C, guest speakers, and item 6A, partnerships. So Matthew, would you provide an update for us?
Of course, thank you. So at the last meeting, we still do have the Youth Ambassador application under review. So as soon as we have that ready to go, we will let you know. I do appreciate Vice Chair Godo, Clara, and myself to get some information kind of worked out to make sure that it's most efficient, and the city is supporting the commissions to make sure they are getting disseminated properly to the community. The survey, we will have a more concrete update at the next meeting. I didn't want to spend the time, your time, with the minimal data just yet. So regardless of the data, though, next time I will have a full report for you at the next meeting. And the, let's see. The other items that I did want to call out to the attention of the commission as you're having the discussion is the commissioners that are assigned to each item. That may be something that you'll want to look at a bit. Health Forum, I did put exactly who was taking the lead or who was going to be working directly with staff. I know it'll be a commission as a whole working, but there will be some work outside of the commission meetings, so that it might be advantageous to have a lead on that. Similar to how Commissioner or Vice Chair Godo is working with us on the social media. And the other item as far as accessibility is the recommendation to City Council for the 2 grants. That wasn't work plan that was approved, so they're aware of it. And so I wasn't sure if more discussion wanted to be had for that, or what the intention was beyond that, or if that was sufficient. But other than that, I will turn it back over to Chair Jennings.
Thank you, Matthew. And do we have any public comments on this discussion item?
We do not.
Thank you. So not sure how to start other than the equity training. The city did have their first implicit bias training program last week, or about a week and a half ago. That went really well. We'll probably discuss that more in our commissioner comments. My understanding from Mr. Macias is that he intends to have additional educational training in the future. So that might be part of our 2023 work plan in terms of the types of trainings that we would like to recommend. Development and implement programs and events. I think our biggest right now is this mental health expo. Probably coming up with a name for it might be our first thing. But I think maybe today, if we can at least discuss 2 things. I don't know if it's a nomination thing or if they just have to accept, but I did speak with Commissioner interest in being on the committee at the last meeting, who would really like to help but not lead. But Commissioner Brinhog has expressed an interest in leading and helping. So I would like to nominate or ask her if she would like to do that. And then we can have one other person, if one other person wants to be a part of that committee, and Commissioner Borja would like to do that. So those are your 3 contact people. If we could look at a date, maybe, for it, and I will give you a little bit of background just in speaking with Commissioner Godo. Has spoken with Matthew. Originally we talked about October, but October is kind of a really dense month with the city and end of the year and the Dia de los Muertos celebration and Turkey Trot and all that other stuff. So I was wondering when end of September might be possible. We were trying to connect it to the mental health awareness month, and then there's like mental health month. One is in May and one is in October. And so we're trying to connect it to the Awareness Month in October. So if the end of September would be a possibility, Matthew?
That should be fine. September is definitely better than October. I'm not sure if you were looking for like a weekday or a weekend. Saturdays would not be at the venue that we were looking for, or if the commission was looking for the Playhouse, we would need to check the schedule. So Saturdays wouldn't be an option through actually October, unfortunately, because we do have private rentals already booked in there. But if we wanted to do a Sunday, that would potentially be available. And like a Thursday, other events such as the summer concerts and movies, Surf's Up is also on that day. Granted, it's not the same type of an event, but just as a notation that there are events planned in the city that are not on the weekend in the case that you didn't want to host it on the weekend.
So from your experience, which are the days that you get more of turnout for these type of events?
I think it depends on the type of an event. So dumplings and beer, I think we've realized that it's done better on a Friday versus a Thursday because of the format and the purpose of these. There is a beer and wine garden, but it's largely in part geared towards family, so it's done by 9:30. Everyone goes home. Everyone can get a nice, rested evening, and then go back to work or school on the following day. So a Thursday could potentially be fine for this type of function. So like an early evening, you are battling people coming from work, so that would be something. Sundays, I think you are battling church or other kids having soccer games or sport during the early morning portion. So just things to keep in mind during that time. But it really will depend on what type of function you're putting on.
Commissioner Brinholm.
I just think that's probably better to do on the weekend. That's my preference. I don't know if other people agree with that, but I think that for this kind of thing, if we're going to have people come out, we want, to have a little bit more space, and I think a weekend's better for that. So, Sunday, 'cause it doesn't sound like Saturday's available, so. Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to add to discuss where the location could be, because it could also be at a school as well. So they have classrooms, they have a multi-purpose room, maybe families would be more familiar with the school. So that's an option that we can probably discuss the location as well.
Commissioner Fitzsimmons, yeah.
Youth Park is very large. People are familiar with that. It's probably the better, because if you needed to go into separate rooms, someone need to talk to somebody, you have that ability to go into the rooms at one of the schools.
Okay. My only concern about the school is that it is less open and welcoming to the community. Like, I don't want them to feel like it's a school function, and so if I don't go to a San Gabriel school, if I don't go to Jefferson, or that I'm not invited, which I'm sure we would make it known, but having it on a school campus to me has a different feel than having it on a city